Okay, let's wait 2 minutes and then we start. Okay?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. We're about to start. Good morning, everyone. Okay, here we go. I want to see some faces. Hi, Leslie. I don't want to see like all black screen here. So please help me with that. Thank you. Thank you. So let's start and the other just will join with us. Okay. So let me share my screen. Yeah. Okay, so welcome to this creative workshop, Stories from Collage. I think it's gonna be interesting when we find the relationship between how we make a collage and also how we create a story. So I just wanna ask you, like, what do you think is the relationship between creating a collage and how we create as writers? Like, just to see what you think or what keep you interest about this topic just before we start.
I think with writing, when you sometimes you have to move pieces around. Sometimes you have to like you could write a whole piece and then have to adjust it, even with novels. And so I feel like with collage, the whole purpose of it is to create this one sort of image through multiple pieces of magazines or paper um or images in general. So I feel like this is kind of similar to writing in that way.
Yeah, totally. Like you said, it's like we have all these pieces or all these images or ideas, and then we try to make it work together or to create something around that. So, yes, that's a good way to see. Someone else that wants to comment, like, what do you think is the relationship between storytelling or writing and also creating a collage? What do you think?
I think for me, I'm actually working on a project using paper mache mask, like paper mask, and actually doing collage on the mask itself for like an exhibit I'm working on. But I say that to say that like collage is a beautiful thing because I do a lot of cut and paste poetry where like I try to compose poems where like the 16 lines. I do everything in 16 lines, right? Like 16 bars. And I make it so that each line can be moved around within that poem to create different poems. I try to do that with, at least one poem like every week doing it like that so that I can kind of keep on top of it. But also like I have a habit of like choosing 16 facts. Like I have an exercise where I have them choose 16 words for me and then I put them all over the page and then I actually write into them, write the sentences to into them. So yeah, it's interesting. Like collages, It's something that I didn't get into until I was older because, the arts were just kind of corny back then in the 80s. But it's really great to actually be able to like go through different mediums, like different like magazines and postcards, and just cut things out, and just also like the elements, the pictures, the typography is really great, and then the colors. So I'm trying to find a mask that I had on hand, but I'll share it later on when I find it. But yeah, it's really great. I appreciate like the whole like glue stick, the Mod Podge, the baby scissors, the larger scissors, and all
Mhm.
that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's a nice creative process. And yes, it's like there is a similar relationship, and we will talk about this before we start with the exercises and how we combine or how we relate and how we perceive those images to create something that makes sense also in our project. So basically, we receive all these images and then we need to build a story based on that. So when we are talking about a collage, we see those images, textures, colors, words, memories, objects, symbols, photograph, newspapers, pieces, drawings, and then we start creating and make sense of it, or not trying to make sense in a logical way, but trying to find something that inspired us to the creation. And also in storytelling, it's the same because it start with a single idea, a single image, a single character, and then it's like a composition of things. So we can start building from memory, from feelings, conversations, from a place, from an image that's multiple images, from fear, from desire, or even contradiction to find that in the process. And also like collage, like you were telling, it help us to think visually about this image or this perspective or this character. It helps you like to discover connections around what you put in your collage. It helps you to create an atmosphere, like what do you feel when you see this collage or when you read this story. We start perceiving things and we can access like something deeper, like the subconscious mind and what's inside of that, and also uncover some themes or some feelings or ideas that will come with the process. Because when we are writing, when we are creating, the mind goes so fast that we cannot understand at once, okay, what is the topic or what is the character desire. We are trying to connect those ideas. So it's like that's the purpose. Like it helps you discover emotional tone around these images and these purposes. It helps you with the character psychology. It helps a lot to create character psychology based on the desire, the obsessions, the wound, the contradiction, like using those images to find something personal and unique about the character. And also symbolism, like the objects. We can just create a collage for the character's universe. And that could be interesting to find objects, to find meaning around those objects that the character has. But first, based on what we create, and then we give them meaning and symbolism throughout the story. It's like when we are writing, for example, something came to you and you start writing, but you don't know the meaning or how it will work throughout the story. But as you continue writing and asking questions, then you find that element. So we will have multiple exercises, but first, I want us to take 10 minutes to open Canva or Word and create a collage. And this collage, we will use it for the other exercises. You can create based on your life, based on a character that you have, based on an emotion, or just playing around, like put your mic mute and put some music and start creating. We will have 10 minutes for that. And based on that, we are going to do some interesting exercises. So then let me set the timer.
Can you put that slide back up with the information about the collage?
Yes, 1 minute. Let me just put the timer and then I open here. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, okay. But again, this is just a prompt. The idea is to create a collage based on what you want yourself, a character that you have, a moment of your life, a lot of things around, an emotion, whatever you want to create. Okay. And allow yourself to play, like don't try to make logic. Let that inner child like go there and explore or bring something different things, okay? It will be more interesting for the exercises. Okay, before we start the other exercises, someone wants to share the collage or tell like how was the creative process? What was the inspiration for this? Who wants to tell me?
I can go, but I don't. Should I like share my collage? Like,
Yeah, yeah. If
oh,
you
okay.
like, that'd be amazing.
Let me see. Oh, wait. Sorry. Okay. So this is my collage. I
I give you the permission to share. You can share it here.
oh yeah, but I'm in a
Okay.
different thing. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so I'm inspired by a phrase that it's lo que nunca te dije, what I never told. That it's basically the title of my new release of my music, and it's inspired on those things that you never say, but it was like it's a contradiction because like sometimes you are pretending to be strong and you say thank you, but I put a box in here because on top of thank you, because you're pretending to be strong and you're pretending that those things that you will never say, it's okay not say it, but inside of you you're like a box, like very fragile box kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
you, because you just want to, because you don't want everybody to see that, you just say, oh, thank you, and then you walk away. You pretend to be strong by those things that you never say. So I also put silence on top of I love you, because there are a lot of times that you want to say I love you, but instead of that, you just decided to be in silence because maybe it's not worth it at that time. Maybe you just feel like it's too heavy to say that, and you pretend to be that strong again. And then also because it's
Okay.
like a lot of love songs that I wrote. And then this one, because I don't know if you can see it, but it says how, what, why, where, who, when. Because for me it's like sometimes when you don't want to say the things, sometimes it's just um like yeah. So I don't know. I'm still working on this, but it was good
It's
to have the
okay.
collage.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Kim. I like how you use the contradiction. Also, you put part of yourself, but also of your music, and how you can bring that to perspective. So I love it. Thank you for sharing. Let me share yours, Leslie. Can you see it? Let me see. One moment. Yes. Okay. You can tell us a little bit, Leslie, if you want.
I think I was just like uh, brainstorming like all of the things like my old childhood dreams. And then just a little bit about my identity and just some wishes that I've had. Like I would love to like live in Paris for the summer, for instance, like I would love to learn how to drive and then some other things that are a part of my past. So I just put like a whole bunch of stuff there.
Okay, amazing. I like how you use those images to connect parts of yourself or past self and how it relates now, because sometimes how desires change with time. Okay. So one last person before we start with the exercises who wants to share or talk about the creative process or the inspiration or the desires that trap you. Okay, if we will start working then, and I hope that you talk more, hopefully, with the exercises. So yes, this is like we will use this collage for the whole other exercises that the ones that came later. I have images here, but if you have a collage, you can use it as well. So the first exercise that I want you to do using your collage, I want you to try to find the character who emotionally belongs inside this world. But it cannot be you. It has to be a new character. So you can start asking questions like what kind of person lives here? What emotional energy do they have? What are they hiding? What contradiction appears in the collage? And based on that, you will start writing. If you came late and don't have a collage, you can use this one to create. Okay? So it cannot be you, it has to be a new character. Okay? So let's start creating from there. And also you can play with contradiction, like Kim says, like, oh, even if I see something here, like this, maybe my character hate this. It doesn't have to love this image or this object or whatever. You can play with contradiction around. And remember also that what the character thinks is not necessarily what the character does. Like there is a contradiction. Like sometimes we do things like Kim said, but we think another thing. So based on that, how we can relate these elements that we have here. Okay. Okay. Before we go to the next, for the ones that created the collage based on themselves, was it hard to find a new character? Was there some resistance, or was it easy to just detach and find this person that has this universe? I want you to tell me.
Um, I, I don't think it was hard because it's just like very sort of uh like everybody could relate to wanting things or not wanting things or wishing for certain things, like wanting to want love or loss or not having agency. So I think th maybe the situations weren't the same, but the theme is the same. It's like not being seen.
Exactly. So you were able to find, even with the same image, different characteristics or motivations around that, right?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Leslie. Who else? Are you there? Because I don't see you. Tell me what happened. The creative process is so important because it helps you to understand how we think and how we create. That's what I like to ask these questions so we can come to realizations around.
Um, this person, it was easy for me to come up with like a totally different person outside of myself. Um, like I wrote a lot. Um, I basically said that the collage strikes me as someone who's trying to use travel to escape something. That's the
Mm.
impression I got, especially with like the moving train. I think it was intentional for it to be in black and white to symbol the past and whatever is going to be placed upon her in whatever journey she's in, um, whatever or whoever she's trying to escape. I don't think she's going to be successful. And yeah.
Okay, I like it. I like it. Like you could like have a story around, like a motivation to come and how the character relates to that. So that's interesting, and that you could write a lot. So thank you, Maria. Okay, we will continue working. So the next exercise it's you can play with this images, but also with your collage. So here we have different images, and I want you to create the beginning of the story using these images. Like you can focus on the emotion, on the atmosphere, the tension, curiosity. You can play with these images or with some of your collage. You don't have to use it all at once. You can pick three or two or one and start a story based on that, okay, to see what happens. Or you can get one of this image and put it in your collage, maybe. Okay, so let's see what happens now that we bring others to the room. And also you can play like maybe from this image, I'm just gonna take the energy. I don't have to take Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever or the character of this movie. I'm just taking the energy, this festive or party energy. Okay, so you can play around that. Okay, before we go to the next, was it easy to connect these images with your collage or detach the real meaning of the image, like Marilyn, for example, or how you relate them? I want to know, you tell me about it. What happened in the creative process?
Good morning. Maybe I missed the instructions, so I didn't know to tie it back to the original collage I made. Um, I think my process was very boring. It was just very literal from the images on the screen.
Okay, okay. That happens. Sometimes it's hard to detach from the images itself, but still, like I said, you can take just the energy, you can change the character completely now. This is the character, I'm gonna do the opposite. Like exactly for that, to not make the process boring, to find new things. And that's the same when we are writing, when we are creating, when we are, for example, working with a topic that everyone talks about, love. What can I bring that is fresh, hmm? That is different, that makes me inspire about it? So I know sometimes it's hard, Natasha, to detach, but let's like maybe you can try that exercise again and see what can bring to the process, okay? Let me see, Eileen. It's so hard to explain the character experience. I started to get into the groove of describing her emotional state. Into okay, amazing. Yes, it you need to take time in this type of exercises. So something interesting can bring out, If we do it fast, we won't make it like first I'm gonna take 3 minutes to try to connect, to observe, to analyze, and then I start writing. So it's okay, it's normal. But these exercises you can try and try again, and you will see how you will find more interesting things. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so the next exercise, I want you to choose two images of your collage, and in a way, two images that shouldn't be together. When you see the two of them, like how I can relate from your collage or mine. And when you have these two images that at a first sight doesn't have any relationship, I want you to start thinking like, why are they secretly connected? What story can exist between them? What emotional tension appears between these two elements? And based on that, you will start writing. Just for what just Natasha said doesn't happen, it's like try to go deep. Like first, I'm gonna pick two elements of my collage that doesn't make any sense being together. Then I'm going to start making my creation, my universe. Maybe in my universe, this is normal. These things goes together. And then you start writing based on that. But first, like try to connect, try to think, try to play, to get out of your head and play a little bit. Okay? So let's see what happens now. Okay, can someone tell me the two objects or elements that you use to create? Just to share. Which elements or object you play with? Diana, Jahaira, if you want to tell me, Kim.
I honestly had a hard time doing this.
Why? This is important, Kim. Tell me. This is what I want you to tell me what happens so I can help and support. Mm-hmm.
So I
Why
guess
was it hard?
no, but me personally, I struggle with. I think I share this with thinking, like trying to think how the other person will think. I don't know if it makes sense. Um, because I use a object from my collage, but then I I try to imagine, but then I just like I keep writing about my own thoughts, and I don't know, like I don't feel okay with that. I don't know, it makes sense. Like I don't feel like I'm evolving or developing more. Um, I just feel like I it's a struggle for me to think how the other person will think, and then with so many objects, I go lost. Like it's, or maybe it's
Okay.
me. It's just a lot of stimulation, like trying to connect my own picture with your picture, and then think about the other character. Maybe it's just like like maybe it's, but maybe I think it's just me that I need to keep. Um, how do you say this? Like I don't even know in Spanish. I just need to keep practicing. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
this
But this
connection, right? I don't. It makes sense.
Yes, and this is part of this workshop because we are creating from a collage, and a collage is something that is not logically like established. So it's normal to have that creative process and to allow that to happen and to see what happens. Maybe I found something interesting, maybe not, but to get out of this mentality or of this way to do things, it's what's more interesting in this specific workshop. Not the final result, but what happens, where are my resistance, how I create, or for me, this is too much, but what happens if I try? You know, I just want you to go through all of that, all these challenges, because that's part of the creative process and to allow things to happen in the creative process. And then, yes, we make logical decisions based on what we have. But first, we need to leave this chaos, these crazy moments. So Leslie says, I use the object from your collage, but I didn't get to write about the object. Okay. The well and the street from my collage. The Paris street. Okay, I got a scene, but it was hard. Has nothing to do with the. It's okay. That's amazing. That's something that can happen as well. Like we can choose these two objects, relate them, and then something else. We write about something else. And this is a collage, it doesn't have to make sense at the beginning, but it's about creating. And maybe something good will came out of there. And if not, later on, this work that you're doing that now, sorry, you will see it in your writing. And if you practice and practice, you will see it more and more. Okay. So thank you for trying, even if it's hard, because this is what we need to do to grow, like Kim said, to evolve as a writer. Let's do one more and then we will share some of them. Okay. But this for me is very important, like to be open and talk and see how we can help each other. Okay. So now you can use, of course, your collage, or if you don't have it, you can use mine. And I want you to look at the collage as if it were a dream. If this was a dream and in a dream, nothing makes complete logical sense. So you can start asking yourself, like, what emotional logic connects this image? What fear or desire appear underneath then? If the collage were a dream, what will it be trying to tell the protagonist? And then you will start writing the opening of a surreal or dreamlike story inspired by this situation. Okay? So, what you have in the collage, it was a dream. How I can start a story based on that. Okay? So, let's see what happened in this last exercise. Trust the process and allow whatever needs to happen to happen. Okay? Okay, so let's see what happens. And also, again, this workshop was for that to try to create from something that is not logic, something that it doesn't make sense, how I relate to that, where are my limits? Those things are quite important because in that way, you can grow or not, you can expand or not. So, the most interesting thing is to see your creative process around these exercises, okay? Not what happened or what you wrote there. Okay. But let's share some of these. One, you can read one page or some paragraphs, and we can just tell us the exercise and what happened. Who wants to start?
I guess I'll start. So the dream was of a woman looking at herself as a child, where she saw herself playing in the swings, and then she saw an image of herself flying, but she understood that the image of herself flying was meant to be symbolic, that she has a wild imagination, and she uses her imagination as a form of escape. I learned about something called maladaptive daydreaming and stuff, and uses her childhood experiences to try to explain why things aren't going for her in her life.
Okay, great, Maria. And why did you pick that exercise? What you found interesting around that?
The images, like the older version of her looking at what looks to be like a castle or a palace or something. Because I did extend my story. Said she's gonna go to a palace and she's gonna be held captive or something.
And even
um,
there, like you have different stories. Like each of those that you mentioned can be a story by itself or can be a combination. So that's something interesting to continue exploring, I think.
oh, okay. Awesome.
Thank you for sharing, Maria. Let
Thank
me
you.
see. Someone else. Let me see. In the chat, Eileen sipping on her morning cafecito of Shiso. This was the last exercise or which exercise? Let us know, but before let me hear someone else and then the one I just did. Okay, okay. I will read it, but let me allow another person to read it here. Another exercise. What's happening? Natasha, Kim, Leslie.
I could read something. It's really short. It's prompt 3.
Okay.
Um, why did you go there? I went to see Luli. Why? Because we had to do homework. What were you wearing? I had on what I normally have on, a tank top and shorts. Were you flirting with him? Did you laugh at his jokes? He said Luli was at her neighbor's, and you believed him?
Okay, this was the one with the images that I put.
Yeah, this was the one with the image of the whale from your collage and the street of Paris from mine.
Okay, I like how you use this dialogue and this intervention with the characters and how we start creating a story from a dialogue itself, and something that came out of image or a relation of images. Now I'm gonna read yours, Eileen. Sipping on her morning cafecito, Ave will sit on her sixth floor fire escape and get lost in the urban horizon surrounding her. She soaked in the sounds, the breeze, and the energy of the city she needed to grow. Closing her eyes up, Okay, I like how you could like create an atmosphere here. Like we have like this description and how based on those images you are creating something new. And I think that's an interesting opening for something, you know, like what's gonna happen and how we already feel based on what you have here. So thank you. Thank you for trying. Okay. Then thank you so I know this workshop can be challenging, but this is like part of the process, like to try to create in a different way, like in a less struct I'm more structure focused, the people who knows me, but sometimes I just try these types of exercises to bring out something new of me, something different. And again, this can become a story, yes or no. Maybe it was just an exercise of exploration. So I encourage you to try that and to see what happens and to create without expectations, and then you can find something interesting. Okay? So thank you for being here. Have a nice day, nice Sunday.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye
Thank you so
bye.
much. Bye.